everybody. This is Tori Street here, and this is my PowerPoint presentation for our standards project. Today I have chosen to address the standards of accreditation in relation to technology for the Southern Association for Colleges and Schools. SACS is the recognized regional accrediting body in the 11 U.S. southern states. The mission statement for SACS is to assure the educational quality and improve the effectiveness of its member institution. Its core values are integrity, continuous quality improvement, peer review and self-regulation, accountability, student learning, and transparency. Most accrediting bodies have conditions of eligibility that require some proficiency in the use of technology, as well as basic standards in the level of technology availability. SACS asks that its member institutions prove that students have access to technology, programs that use technology effectively, training in technology is available to students, and technology enhances student learning. SACS has policy statements on distance education and correspondence education. For the purposes of the Commission on Colleges Accreditation Review, distance education is a formal education process in which the majority of the instruction in a course occurs when students and instructors are not in the same place. Instruction may be synchronous or asynchronous. A distance education course may use the internet, one-way and two-way transmissions through open broadcast, closed-circuit, cable, microwave, broadband lines, fiber optics, satellite or wireless communication devices, audio conference, or video cassettes, DVDs, and CD-ROMs if used as part of the distance learning course or program. The definition of correspondence education for these purposes is a formal education process under which the institution provides instructional materials by mail or electronic transmission, excluding examinations on the materials, to students who are separated from the instructor. Interaction between the instructor and student is limited, is not regular and substantive, and primarily initiated by the student. Courses are typically self-paced. There are 5 main policy statements. The first is at the time of review by the Commission, the institution demonstrates that the student who is registered in a distance or correspondence education course or program is the same student who participates in and completes the course or program and receives the credit by verifying the identity of the student who participates in class or coursework by using, at the option of the institution, methods such as a secure login and passcode, proctored examinations, and new or other technologies and practices that are effective in verifying student identification. This is important for our purposes because if I stink at biostatistics, I could just have my brother, who's awesome in math, log on and take all my tests for me. The policy statement number 2 is at the time of review by the Commission, the institution demonstrates that it has a written procedure for protecting the privacy of students enrolled in distance and correspondence education courses or programs. And as many of you know that are in our law class, this goes back to FERPA and kind of all that privacy information that we talk about in there. Policy statement number 3, at the time of review by Commission, the institution demonstrates that it has a written procedure distributed at the time of registration or enrollment that notifies students of any projected additional student charges associated with verification of student identity. Policy number 4, an institution that offers distance or correspondence education must ensure that it reports accurate headcount enrollment on its annual institutional profile submitted to the Commission. And Policy 5, institutions must ensure that their distance and correspondence education courses and programs comply with the principles of accreditation. This applies to all educational programs and services, wherever located or however delivered. Besides the policies that I just listed, SACS also has guidelines for the application of principles of accreditation to distance and correspondence education. When talking about the mission of an institution, if that institution offers significant distance and correspondence education, it should be reflected in that institution's mission. In curriculum and instruction, the faculty assume primary responsibility for the oversight of distance and correspondence education, ensuring both the rigor of programs and the quality of instructions. Technology must be used in an appropriate nature to the objectives of the program and the courses, as well as expectations concerning the use of such technology, are clearly communicated with the students from the get-go. Distance and correspondence education policies must be clear concerning ownership of materials, faculty compensation, copyright issues, and the use of revenue derived from the creation and production of software, telecourses, and other media products. I know at the med school, the AAMC monitors that very well. For summer courses that students may need to take in the summer, there are some that are offered online through YouTube videos and correspondence type of education, and they really monitor the signing up for those courses and will only approve some courses. So, for example, our teachers aren't allowed to just let the students use the same material they did, say, in their fall semester course to retake it again in the summer, because that would have to go through approval by the AAMC and whatnot. Academic support services are appropriate and specifically related to distance and correspondence education. Program length is appropriate for each of the institution's educational programs, including those offered through distance education and correspondence education. For all degree programs offered through distance or correspondence education, the programs embody a coherent course of study that is compatible with the institution's mission and is based upon fields of study appropriate to higher education. For all courses offered through distance or correspondence education, the institution employs sound and acceptable practices for determining the amount and level of credit awarded, and justifies the use of a unit other than semester credit hours by explaining its equivalency. An institution entering into consortial arrangements or contractual agreements for the delivery of courses, programs, or services offered by the distance or correspondence education is an active participant in ensuring the effectiveness and quality of the courses and programs offered by all of the participants. So we can kind of look at the RODP courses as an example of that. As far as faculty guidelines go, an institution offering distance or correspondence learning ensures that there is a sufficient number of faculty qualified to develop, design, and teach the courses and programs. I know something that we had talked about in our discussion board and that we were able to write about on our blogs, at least through my blog, I kind of got this response, is that sometimes older teachers may feel that they're not as equipped to handle technology as some of the incoming students, especially since we're so much exposed to this. And as far as looking to the future, these students who are now in elementary school that will be in college, they're going to know everything about technology. So we can't have faculty teaching these students if they know less about this technology than the students do. The institution has clear criteria for the evaluation of faculty teaching distance education courses and programs, as well as faculty who teach in distance and correspondence education programs need to receive appropriate training. As far as institutional effectiveness guidelines, the comparability of distance and correspondence education programs to campus-based programs and courses are ensured by the evaluation of educational effectiveness, including assessments of student learning outcomes, student retention, and student satisfaction. So we all got the message from Dr. Flora. She says every semester she kind of talks with the people who are in the course now to figure out what she needs to be doing better for next semester, and what she could add that might be of assistance to the future students. So she's continually evaluating her course. The institution regularly assesses the effectiveness of its provision of library and learning resources and student support services for distance or correspondence education students. Guidelines for library and learning resources. Students have access and can effectively use appropriate library resources, and access is provided to laboratories, facilities, and equipment appropriate to courses or programs. If we're talking about guidelines for student services, students have adequate access to all of the support for the programs that they need. The students in distance or correspondence programs have adequate procedure for resolving any complaints or issues according to the university or institution's policies and procedures. Advertising and recruitment and admission adequately and accurately represent the program's requirements and services available to those students. And students enrolled in distance education courses are able to use the technology employed, have the equipment necessary to succeed, and are provided assistance in using the technology employed. Facilities and Finances Guidelines. Appropriate equipment and technical expertise required for distance and correspondence education are available, and the institution, in making distance and correspondence education courses part of its mission, provides adequate funding for faculty, staff, services, and technological infrastructure to support this methodology. Something else that I just thought was neat was looking at the document history of these technology guidelines. And so as you can see, they were adopted in 1997, but have had the majority of changes have happened in the last 4 years. So we can kind of look at technology becoming more and more useful in the classroom and how that has caused these standards to be changed. And to finish up, SACS does have some best practices for their electronically offered degree and certificate programs. This is a 14-page document, and it can be found on the link below. Thanks for your time.